Welcome boys and girls from YouTube. My name is Sloth, this is Sloth Forge, and thanks a lot for stopping by on today's video. On today's video, I just want to showcase you some different teams for the Planar Expedition, or the Guild Wars, the Alliance Wars, whatever you want to call it. Just 4 different teams that I've been using that I had very good success with. And yeah, I hope that at least one or two of those teams are going to be useful for you as well. So, my first team, and you probably guessed it, this is the strongest performing team, and it is once again built around Lalvanis. This Lalvanis here is just built for straightforward as much attack, crit rate, and crit damage as somehow possible. That's it pretty much. Then, second, we are using Repekas. And I'm using Repekas mainly, the main reason why I'm using him is because he brings buff prohibition. And one very annoying thing about this Planar Expedition here is the Radiance Elemental, because it brings defense up, 60% defense up to all elementals. So this is quite annoying, and this will cause us a lot of damage. So we want to mitigate this if somehow possible. And one of the best ways to mitigate this is to bring buff prohibition or to remove those buffs once they are granted. And now Repekas is not ideal for this because it is a bit random on what debuffs he is going to inflict, but I had very good success with Repekas, and I tried a lot of different heroes here in the spot of Repekas, and I had by far the best success with Repekas. So yeah, this is the main reason why I'm using him. Also, I'm using him in the Crown of the Unclean, so he's a second, like a small version of those defense penalty debuffs. He can inflict them here and there. So yeah, but you can use other artifacts instead of the Crown of the Unclean. The impact of this was not too big actually. Then we're using Ursulas. Nothing special here actually. We're just using him in the Brotherhood Spirit set to increase our damage a little bit, and then with the Titan Rip and enough resistance so that he can resist those incoming debuffs, and then therefore increase our damage, or at least Lavani's damage, by a good amount actually. Then we're using Burnade. She is our main hero for the Witch Remains because she's very good at inflicting defense penalty with the Witch Remains. Then also is she in the Emissary's Whisperer set. Just helps us to increase our damage a bit further. And that's it pretty much. I built her with a little bit of damage, but nothing can even be close to the damage that Lalvanis does. So if you struggle to survive, especially then, I would recommend you to build her a bit more tanky. But yeah, she can deal like a very small amount, like 1% of the damage is actually dealt by Burnade. So yeah, it's nothing groundbreaking. And then the last hero here is Centralia. We're using her as well in the Brotherhood Spirit set. It is because Centralia and Ursulas, they are not timed, they are not in sync. So if we use 2 heroes here in Brotherhood Spirit set, we have way more uptime on those Brotherhood Spirit buffs. So this is why we're using 2 heroes here in Brotherhood Spirit set. And then just as much attack as semi-possible and the Dawnpipe Organ. But just to mention this as well, the Dawnpipe Organ is fine on Centralia. It is decent, but it is definitely not the best case scenario. It's not the best option, because once Lalvanis transforms, she is no longer a ranged unit, then she is a melee unit, and then the Dawnpipe Organ buff is no longer active. So it is okay-ish, I'd say, but there have to be some better options. I just didn't find a better solution yet. And yeah, that's pretty much the team. Here are the skill timings. Nothing special actually. We want Burnade to go first with a good gap between her and Lalvanis, because it takes a bit of time for Burnade to actually inflict those defense penalty debuffs. So this is why we have a good time gap between Burnade and Lalvanis. And then on Repekas, I'm using a first cast 16 seconds timer, a recast 18 seconds as well. And I had the best success with those timings. I had a very good uptime on buff prohibition. But you can use other timings as well, especially if you want him to inflict the additional defense penalty. Then I would recommend you something like 22 seconds first cast timer, 18 seconds recast timer, because you want a gap between him and Burnade as well, because if the big version of defense penalty is up, you cannot inflict the small version of defense penalty. However, vice versa, it works. So if the weak version of defense penalty from the crown is inflicted, and then you try to inflict the big version of defense penalty with the Witch Remains, it actually works. So keep this in mind. It will not cost you some damage to bring just the Crown of the Unclean. You can always override the Crown of the Unclean debuff with a Witch Remains debuff, just in case you wonder. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole team. As you can see now, my personal best with this team was more than 1.8 billion actually. Now in the showcase video, it's only like 1.7 billion, but I swapped around my gear, my Labanis gear by a little bit, tempered it a bit more. So this is why now my personal best right now is 1.8, a bit more than 1.8 billion damage, which is quite cool. Yeah, and this is my first team. Let's get into the second team. And this is also a quite obvious team actually. It is an Ice Blast team. We are using one support. In this Ice Blast team, we are using Fallujah because she's very good at keeping the team alive. She can keep the team alive for the whole 10 minutes on her own. So yeah, if you have Fallujah, you should absolutely use her. But you can use a lot of other heroes here as well. You can use Asilia. You can use Rose, by the way, as well. She's very good here. Then you can use Asilia, as I said, Jillian, or even Ardred as well, who's a free hero. All of us will have access to Ardred soon, so you can use one of those heroes here as well. Especially the Radiance element has some very good healers. The main reason why I'm using Fallujah here over one of those other heroes is because she is of the same element as the Ice heroes, and then I can use her in the inspiration set. If you bring another hero here, then you have to swap around your gear sets by a little bit, because you absolutely want one hero from the Ice element in the inspiration set, just to decrease your cooldowns, just increase your damage. Then next, Baldal. As you can see, straightforward, as much crit rate as somehow possible, a good amount of crit damage, and as much attack as well as somehow possible. As you can see, I don't have access to her exclusive artifact, so I could boost my damage by quite a lot if I would have access to her exclusive artifact as well. Then I'm using Shinna, and I'm actually using Shinna as our second DPS and not as our Witch Remains holder. Just as much damage as well as possible on Shinna. And then I'm using the Whisper of the Consumer because I actually had best success with this item. But especially if you have the exclusive artifact for Baldal, then you can use the Bloom on your Shinna and boost your damage by quite a little amount here as well. And this is the second hero, the second DPS. Then we are using Zorak just to increase our damage once again as good as possible. He has the Brotherhood Spirit set and then the Titan Ribs, but with good resistance, once again just to increase our damage by another 15%. And then we're using Bledden as our Witch Remains holder. First, because he's very good at inflicting the Witch Remains. He hits it multiple times on his ultimate. And then he brings an attack up buff to a hero with the highest attack, so namely Baldal. And yeah, just boosting our Baldal's damage is always cool, so I had the best success actually with Bledden. I tried a lot of different heroes here as well, but I had by far the best success with Bledden. And also, when it comes to this particular team, the positioning here is very important. You really want to bring all your heroes to this area, because you want, once again, to kill the Giga Elemental, the Radiance one, as soon as possible. And with this exact positioning, this exact team, you have a very easy time to keep it down for the whole fight, so it was never able to grant defense up to all those elements, and this will just increase your damage by so much. So this is why I would highly recommend you to use those exact positionings, this exact positioning. And then here is a skill timing. We're using pretty much a straightforward skill timing. Bledden goes first, and then right after him, Zorak and Shinna go, and then after 9 seconds after Shinna and Zorak, then comes Baldal. Yes, I'm always confusing Bernade and Baldal. I hope this didn't happen yet. But yeah, then comes Baldal. And then all of those heroes, an 18 seconds recast timer. Only Fallujah, she is on full default to keep our team alive as long as somehow possible. And yeah, this is the second team, the Ice Blast team. Now, let's get into the next one. Let's get into the Wild team. This is also quite obvious, a straightforward team actually, with one small change. We're using Corrin. I tried many other heroes here as well instead of Corrin, and Corrin is the one who was the most successful when it came to keep the team alive. But there have to be other options as well. You could, for example, use narrow as well. I just had better results with Corrin. Also, Corrin is very cool in combination with the Solar King's Horn because he has a lot of heals over time. So he has a very good uptime, like nearly 100% uptime with the Solar King's Horn buff. So this is why I'm using Corrin, but there are a lot of different options, especially in the Necrosis element. The Necrosis school has a lot of very strong healers as well. So yeah, but Corrin is free, so you can absolutely use him. Then I'm using him in the Ancestral Protection set and the Fight Poison with Poison set, but this is not needed, this is not recommended actually, because we don't build him with any accuracy, because normally he inflicts no debuffs, so he cannot inflict the recharge speed penalty, so this is not recommended. I just tried around some different things. Yeah, this is Corrin. And then we're using just the normal wild combination, Flora with as much attack and enlightenment as possible, then Felicity in the Emissary's Whisper set and the Witch Remains. Pretty straightforward, you already know this most likely. Then Casper, once again just as our second DPS, as much crit damage as possible. I'm way overcapped here at crit rate because I have only this artifact. I will change this anytime soon. Yeah, you don't need so much crit rate, it's like 45% too much crit rate, which is absolutely not recommended. And then Eric as the last hero in the rotation with the Inspiration set, and then as much attack as somehow possible and the Dawnpipe Organ. Pretty straightforward, as I said. Here are the skill timings. As you can see, Corrin, once again, he's here to keep the team alive, so we are using him on a full default cast timings, and then here we want Flora to go first, Casper to go second, then Felicity right after Casper, and then after a couple of seconds, like 1 or 2 seconds, we go with Eric. And then all of those heroes an 18 seconds recast timer, except for Felicity. She is also just on a default recast timer, so she can have a highest possible uptime on the defense penalty. And yeah, this is the wild team. As you can see now, the wild team does also quite good job. Does nearly 700 million damage, was my best with this team. And then did I mention this? Ice Blast team also did like nearly 750 million damage. So yeah, those two teams both perform quite good. And then the final team, this is not the best team from my teams, so I have 3 better teams, so this is why I'm not using this team right now. But here also, once again, I'm missing an exclusive artifact. If I would have access to Lothair's exclusive artifact, I could swap around this team by quite a good amount. Then I could use the statue of Serpent Deity on my Twitch, and then therefore I would have to bring someone else for the Witch Remains debuff. But in general, this is also a quite good performing team, so let's talk about this here as well. First, you always want to check your auras, because sometimes if you copy a team, or if you just use one of your teams from the saved teams, then sometimes those auras get just swapped around for some weird reasons. So always check your aura. This 48 enlightenment here is very useful. And then let's talk about the team. Lothair, nothing special here actually, just as much attack and enlightenment as somehow possible. Then for Twitch, here I am using Twitch as my Witch Remains holder, and then just as much attack and enlightenment as somehow possible. As you can see, there is a lot of room for improvement. Only 2000 attack and 300 enlightenment is not so great, but of course we also have to build him with accuracy. No matter what artifact we are using on him, we always want to build Twitch with accuracy, just to increase his damage as good as somehow possible. Only exception is if you have Inspiration 5 Twitch, then maybe you don't have to build him with accuracy. But since he also inflicts poisons on his ultimate and passive, I think you should actually always build your Twitch with accuracy. Because if I'm not mistaken, his Inspiration 5 only allows him to inflict poison with his battle skill without needing accuracy, but I'm not 100% sure about this. Yeah, so this is Twitch, our second DPS, and he can deal quite good amount of damage as well. Then next, Vicana. And here I have her at Inspiration 5, so she does not need any accuracy to inflict debuffs on her battle skill. So if you don't have her at Inspiration 5, then I would recommend you to build her with accuracy as well. Because, yeah, normally if we bring Twitch, this is just for completion, sometimes, or most of the times, if we bring Twitch, we want him to be our only hero to inflict poison debuffs, because his poison debuffs just deal the most amount of damage. This is why we don't want to bring other heroes that also inflict poison, But with this team, because we here have those 3 elements and it is nearly impossible, at least for me, to keep up those 40 stacks of poison, this team, I would recommend you to build all your poison here with enough accuracy, or at least a little bit of accuracy, so that they can inflict some additional poison debuffs. So yeah, if you don't have her at Inspiration 5, I would build her with accuracy, even though it will maybe reduce your Twitch damage by a little bit. Overall, it will boost your Lothair damage by so much that I would absolutely recommend you to build then all your heroes with accuracy. You can also use many different artifacts here as well. For example, the Queen's Fan is a very strong artifact for your poison heroes as well. So you don't need the boomerang. And yeah, it's just a good option. For your Vicana, you want her to position here exact at this point here, because then she ultimates the Necrosis Elemental and just deal a little bit more damage with her ultimate. And then, since she's always the one who goes first in your rotation with her ultimate, you also want to use her with the Brotherhood Spirit set just to increase your damage once again by a little bit. And then here we are using Corrin. I tried some different builds for Corrin as well, and here as well I would recommend you to build him with accuracy, just for some additional poison debuffs. And then I'm using him with a Rift Hourglass and a default recast timer. You can also use some other strategies here as well, but it boosted my damage by quite a good amount actually to use him with a Rift Hourglass and a default recast timer. So I would recommend you to do this as well. And yeah, in the inspiration set, as I said, because he's spamming his ultimate, he's very good for the inspiration set. And then the last hero here is Oggok. I'm using him with a little bit of accuracy and the Emissary's Whisper set to once again increase every damage by a little bit. And then with the Solar King's Horn, because he is quite good at keeping this buff up as well. He's not perfect, it's only like a 60 or 70% uptime on those Solar King's Horn buffs, but it is still a quite good hero for the Solar King's Horn buff. Especially with the Radiant Glory talent, you have a better uptime with the Solar King's Horn buff. So yeah, very good, very cool artifact for your Oggok. This team here as well can deal more than 600 million damage. My best was like 611. And as I said, if I would have access to Lothair's exclusive artifact, I could improve this team by quite a lot. But yeah, for now, I'm very happy with those results, with those teams. And I really hope that it helped you a little bit. If you have any further questions, if you want to add something, if you had other teams that performed better than 600 million damage, please let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested in those other teams. I know, for example, if you have Gladys, you can build some extremely strong rally teams as well. But sadly, I don't have Tilandor, I don't have Gladys yet. So my rally team was quite underwhelming, honestly. And I'm very sure there are other very strong teams as well. So let me know in the comments below what teams are you using and what content are you interested for next. Do you want me to build some free-to-play teams here as well? Or is there other content that you wish for some additional information for? Let me know in the comments below. And that's it for today. Thank you very much. See you in the next one.